Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, with the Dark Fairytale Tarot. And so I'm going to do a fairly brief deck interview, and I've spent some time shuffling it, and we'll see how readable it is, what kind of response I get, and that will determine if I turn it around really quickly or not. Because I can't say I'm underwhelmed. I just am not feeling like it's the right deck, like it's not hitting anything inside of me, really positive or negative. And I don't know, it could be that I'm just in a blah state of mind right now, but let's see. So the first question is, how would you describe yourself? So this is how the deck describes itself. What was a hermit? So maybe it is meant for solitary contemplation in the wilderness, contemplating the wilderness. So it kind of imagines itself as it builds itself, kind of as a dark deck forging into the unknown. So that makes sense. The second question is, what is your opinion of me? So the deck's opinion of me. The Nine of Swords says you're worrying about nothing. Quit worrying about whether or not you and I are going to get along or whether I have any real function. Stop evaluating. We haven't even gotten to know each other, and you're evaluating me out of existence. Fair enough? Yeah. Also, you know, it shows the woman's head turned away. Yeah. Yeah, I am was feeling a little cranky about this deck. It's making some accurate accusations in that, I think. So number 3 is, what is one thing you ask of me? So this is something that the deck is asking of me. The Ace of Wands. Gosh, I'm not totally sure what to think of that. Oddly, I feel like it's saying, I don't know that I can get that out of the Ace of Wands, but I feel like it's saying that I need to use it in conjunction with other decks. And I don't know if the gravestones can even count in this deck because they're in so many cards. I don't know. I feel like it's saying, you know, give me a chance, and that, you know, if I am this person down here in the sense of, you know, dead, I've kind of prejudged the deck, not before getting it necessarily, but first flip through, I'm thinking, it's kind of saying, let me, if you give me a chance and you see, you know, my light, my potential, if you would just follow that, there's something out there worthwhile. I'll drag you out of the earth that you're in. Next one. How will you challenge me? So this is, how will the deck challenge me? Just feeling like I don't get along with it, or that I don't resonate with it. Certainly would be one. So it's given me the Chariot. But I feel like this would be a reversed version, like it's going to challenge me by, you know, I'm not going to feel like I'm moving with it. Like I'll feel like I'm not getting any movement when I do a reading with it. I'll have to try another reading. A non-deck. What do I usually, my testers, one of my testers is a 5-card, what I call Chinese elements spread. So maybe I'll have to try that one next. So the next question is what is the potential outcome of our time together? The King of Wands. The guy with the iguana on his shoulder. So I feel like this is less about me than it is about, I feel like it's saying, you'll see that I am the King of Wands. It's like I feel like it's setting itself up as the King of Wands. The King of Discovery. It's like you will finally recognize me for for my value as the King of Wands. Because this is the one thing that was asked of me, was to grab a hold of that wand. I'm not sure I'm going to make this deck happy. And the last one, what readings do you enjoy the most? Oh, moon, of course, dark deck. Would enjoy a dark hermitish deck, would enjoy the moon the most. So I would have to take a look at that and think about that a little bit. I feel like maybe that moon card is kind of a key to understanding how to get, in my case, maybe how to get anything out of the deck, since I'm not feeling terribly related to it. I'm looking for something. Usually I have like little 3x5 cards or something to jot down my responses here, because I'm going to jot down the responses. I'm only 8 minutes in, and goodness knows I just can't do a short video. So I just want to record the responses. And then I'm going to do that Chinese. I'm going to shuffle all these back in and do the Chinese system of elements. Okay. I'm putting you guys back in there. So the Chinese system of elements is 5 cards. And one of the reasons that it can be an interesting test spread is that there can be relationships between all of the elements. So I usually put earth in the middle, and that's something that's stable or repeating. And then the card above is fire. The card, and so that's what's rising but may not be lasting, you know, like something that flares up, is intense and flares up. And then the bottom is water, which is sinking or can be a resource that is under the surface, not currently being used. And then to my right, I put metal, which is something that is contracting or consolidating, becoming more solid, or is very solid. And then on the left is wood, which is something that is in a period of growth. And so these have relationships such as, you know, whatever is in the water position has the power to extinguish what is in the fire position. You know, the fire position is fed by what's in the wood position. So, you know, they have these relationships. And so one of the ways that using it as a test spread reveals is, you know, is the deck good for only the positions in and of themselves, or does the deck actually allow, I'm not usually looking for all of those, the dynamics between the elements to make sense, but you know, how many of those dynamics between the elements make sense and how many don't. And I'm not going to get into that level while I'm videotaping. I'll look into that level of interaction without taking up your time. But I'm just gonna split this deck and we're gonna go for it. All right, so in the middle we have the Ten of Pentacles. Great Earth situation there. I still don't know what is on that one side of her. I can tell I'm going to have to get my lighted magnifying glass to look at these cards. So that's in the center. That is what is steady, constant, or repeating, keeps coming back around. And I could see that. So she's looking at herself. And I would say that one thing that I am dealing with, what is that there? Will you focus? No, I'm holding it too close, yeah. Is seeing myself as having as being Ten of Pentacles. You know, I'm having to, just to see myself in that position. The other thing that is striking me as I look at this card is you do have those animals that are all, you know, like crowding around her. Not quite crowding her out, but so I see that if I step back from either traditional associations or more, how would I say, spiritual kinds of self-reflective type interpretations, and just look at it as animals surrounding me, that works. So the fire position, I've got the fish. So that's another thing that's always interesting about this system of elements, is when you have something, you've got water in that fire position. And to me, this is, you know, looking at your cup and it's like all I get are a bunch of sardines. I don't like sardines. And it's just putting out my flames. So it's a humorous take on it, but I'm actually serious that that's kind of a, looking at that card, to me that's a card kind of what, either what the hell is that, or disappointment, kind of, to me. That's what's coming across. So in the water, I've actually got the Knight of Wands down in the water. So that's interesting. To me, the water, which is something that is below, it can be something that's sinking. It could be that my ambition or my drive is sinking, but I think of the water in that lower position as kind of like the water table. It's something that you can draw on if you need it. It's not out front, you know, other people don't see it, but if you acknowledge that it's there, you can draw on it. And so I see that as this, that there may be some, I might have reserves of energy in particular, or maybe even people I can call on to help. So that's interesting. Consolidating or contracting is the Fool, the Masquerade in this case. Can I see that? Let me see what's in her hand, if I can see. I can't really tell. I was wondering if it was an hourglass, but it doesn't necessarily look like that. So I feel very focused on the mask in that card, like there's some identity that was put on incidentally in a fool-like manner, that is in that position of metal, consolidating, contracting, is solidifying. So it's almost like, is it called the mask? What is that thing where he puts that mask on and then he can't get it off? I almost feel like that's what this is telling me about. And then the wood. Oh, look at that. I got the Lovers. And again, is he sitting on the heart? Honest to goodness. He's sitting on the heart. What is that? Or maybe that's a couple of fairies down there. I don't know. So do I see that? No, I don't see that happening in my life. If we think of it as human beings, if we think of it as me and my pets, you know, then potentially. And I do have to do that. And a lot of times, like, I'll be listening to, because I just like to listen to love readings, career readings, general readings. I just like to watch people read the cards and see how they interpret them. And a lot of times if I stop and I say, all right, I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't apply to me. And then I think, well, would it apply if it was talking about me and my dogs, me and my pets, me and my cats? And then it's like, yeah, I think it could. So that could very well be what this is referring to. So I'm just going to do like a first glance look. So it was relatively readable to me in these positions. I can feel fairly recognized by this, the cards that came up for this. I can see myself in here. So I got fire in the position of water and water in the position of fire. And so there are some interesting interactions going on here, like that mask that is sticking, that I see that mask is sticking, actually creates, interestingly enough, the drive of the Knight of Wands. And the drive of the Knight of Wands, see, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I can see it kind of happening. So the drive of the Knight of Wands feeds this, nourishes this, the Lover's card. And the Lovers cards, this is wood, feeds the fire. So maybe I will actually begin to reconsider any sort of emotional engagement. Maybe it'll start to wake me up a little bit emotionally. So there's that. But then there's some contradictions, like this, which is in the water position, is feeding the Lovers, but at the same time, it would be extinguishing this. So that drive that feeds the Lovers at the same time would, well, I could see that the two kind of cancel each other out. If this is disillusionment or disappointment, then that drive will help kind of push through it or push it out of the way, maybe. And then let's see. Yeah, so there's some interesting things going on in here. So maybe, maybe this did help me see that this deck could have value for me. So then the next question is, does it have value for me in the context of how many decks I already have? Given how many decks I already have, is it going to give me enough value? Is it going to be interesting enough for me to keep? And that continues to be a question mark. I'm not entirely sure of that. But that second reading does give me a little bit of pause. I won't just automatically, immediately eject it. Send it back out into a trade situation or something like that. The funny thing is, and I don't know that I've ever had a deck like this. Like, I've had decks that I've modified or have gotten damaged, and I decide not to go the trade route and to just, like I've shown in a past video, I just take out my favorite cards and call it a loss and throw the rest of them away. But this was kind of the first deck that came in, and I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I think if this doesn't work for me, I think I'm just going to throw it away. Isn't that an awful thing to confess? It's like that I wouldn't even try to trade it or anything. It's like, no, I think this is just gonna. And I don't know. I don't know if that's again reaching that level where I have so many decks that I just feel like I don't even want to trade. I don't want to get anything in. I don't want to get anything in return. I just want less. That's all I want. Or I don't know that I want less, but I just know that a given one isn't working for me. And so what do I do with it? If I lived in an area where there was a shop where people are interested in that sort of thing existed, and it doesn't exist here, then I would take it there and I would just say, here, just put it in a giveaway pile or something. But that's not where I live. I wish something like that would spring up. We did have a woo-woo type store for, I don't know, the first 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know if it made it to 5, maybe the first 4 years that I lived here, and I only got to it occasionally. But when we had the financial crisis, the real estate mortgage crisis, it died. That store died. So, and I don't think it was doing terribly well to begin with, but it died. So there's really no option for me to turn the Dark Fairytale Tarot loose in the world, should I decide that it doesn't have a unique and particularly valuable place. And I'm just sitting here spinning my selenite heart. Does anybody use their selenite heart should you have one where you spin it. So this one has a nice curve to it on both sides. And so it spins really nicely, like, you know, spin, what did they call it? Spin the bottle, right? Like spin the bottle. But to use it, I don't know, you know, I could put this particular stone in the middle of, I don't know, for convenience sake, like zodiac signs or something with words all around, you know, like what is the Ouija board has letters or something, but, you know, things all around the outside of it, and spin this, and wherever the point ends up is some sort of message. So let me know if I have a special selenite heart, or if other people also have spinning selenite hearts. I suspect that this is not unique and that many people can make their selenite heart spin. And that's enough rambling for now. If you've stuck with me for this, you are amazing, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.